Baseball Classic. You play for your country. A rainy, overcast afternoon in Los Angeles that will continue tonight under damp circumstances in downtown LA. Team USA has its hands full tonight, dealing with a team that knocked them out the last time they got this far in the World Baseball Classic, and a team from Japan that has claimed 2 World Baseball Classic titles. A seat in the finals waits the winner in tonight's semifinal matchup at Dodger Stadium. We welcome you to this World Baseball Classic telecast on MLB Network, presented by Geico. Tonight, Team USA takes on Japan for the right to play in the final match tomorrow night. Well, yesterday, a thriller between the Kingdom of the Netherlands and Puerto Rico, and it took extra innings and a long night for Puerto Rico to outlast the Dutch and move to the finals, where they have a chance to avenge their runner-up finish from 2013. The last piece of business, the last semifinal tonight. Who will play against Puerto Rico? It's the winner between the U.S. and Japan. With that, we welcome you inside Dodger Stadium with John Smoltz, Matt Vasgersian, and John for Team USA. A completely different challenge tonight. A team of players unfamiliar to Major League Baseball fans.
Yeah, and it's a different custom and a different style of baseball. When we first started this World Baseball Classic, we didn't know who was going to get here. But I sure was hoping it was going to be the USA and Japan, and we get that matchup. It's going to be exciting. It's probably the biggest game for Japan. They want to win it all, but it's for USA to see if they can get to the championship.
And a pitcher on the mound for the Americans tonight that's only had a chance to get into one WBC game. Nationals right-hander Tanner Roark worked an inning and a third early in the tournament in Miami. He gets the ball for Jim Leyland tonight. Tomoyuki Sugano on the mound for Japan, and we are told, John, that he is a complete pitcher.
He is. He's a guy that commands the strike zone with all 3 of his pitches. He fields his position. He won the Gold Glove in his professional league, and I think what the American are going to see is a pitcher that knows how to pitch. I think the style for Tanner Roark is going to work well against the style of the Japanese hitters. This is going to be a great one, and it's going to be one that starts with the starting pitchers but ends with the bullpens.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit about the Japanese hitters. There was a time Japan baseball was played small ball, and it was a lot of guys that moved it around and bunted. That is not necessarily the case anymore. This is a powerful Japanese lineup.
Yeah, and it's a little surprising if you think about the history of the Japanese style of baseball, and their leadoff hitter has some pop. So I think for Tanner Roark, he's going to have to concern himself with the fact that, yes, they put it in play, but they have power.
Yeah, they do have power. You talked about the leadoff hitter. He's the DH, Tetsuro Yamada. He hit 38 home runs to lead the Central League 2 years ago. Nakata, a 2-time RBI champ. And one of the big worry spots for Team USA, Yoshitomo Tsutsugo, who led the Central League in home runs last season. So the U.S. pitching staff has its hands full. And I guess you could say the same thing for Team Japan, because the U.S. bats were really alive and well in San Diego, in particular that of Giancarlo Stanton, who hit a monster home run as a part of the big win over the DR.
Yeah, and they're still talking about that home run. StatCast, powered by Amazon Web Services, gives us the numbers. This was a rocket. We were there. We saw it. It got out quick. And the whole USA bench went crazy. 117 miles an hour and 424 feet. For Jim Leyland, they're hoping they can have the big guy run into another one here in L.A.
Stanton is DHing and batting 8th here tonight in the semifinal matchup, and he's standing by with J.P. Morosi.
Thanks, Matt. Giancarlo, you're going to play a team that's a great team that you don't know a whole lot about. How exciting is that challenge?
It's fun, you know, and a different style of baseball, too. So not only don't we know them, they play a completely different way, but at the same time, you still got to throw it over the plate, still got to throw strikes, still got to get 3 outs each inning. So, you know, we'll be fine, we'll have fun, and hopefully put it to them.
You're 2 wins away from winning the WBC. Have you had a chance to really process what that would mean to this team and the country as well?
Just a little bit, but you got to go one step at a time. So once we're at one game, you know, that's when you start getting a little more prepared. But, you know, you got to take care of tonight, and then we'll be all right.
Thanks so much. Best of luck.
Yeah, thank you.
Manny, back to you.
JP, thanks. As we know, Team USA has gone as far as it's ever gone in this tournament this year. Can they get to the next level? They face the two-time champs from Japan. Coming up, the lineups and the opening pitch in the semis. The U.S. and Japan are coming up next. 4 years ago, that's what happened here in this ballpark. It was Japan beating the U.S. It was the farthest a U.S. team had ever gotten in the tournament at the time. Japan went on to win their second straight WBC title after that semifinal victory over the U.S. And the Americans look to avenge that loss tonight here at Dodger Stadium once again. The U.S. lineup presented by Wall, Kinsler, Jones, and Yelich off the top. Arenado, Hosmer, and McCutchen 4 through 6. Hosmer's had a great tournament. Buster Posey behind the plate tonight. Posey's homered twice here. Andrew McCutchen, Giancarlo Stanton and Brandon Crawford round things out for the Americans. And on the mound for Team Japan, 27-year-old who was a 9-game winner for the Yomiuri Giants last year. That 9-game winning came with a 2.01 ERA. Tomoyuki Sugano was really good last season, and he's already appeared a handful of times in the World Baseball Classic.
Yeah, you'll see just a little bit of a pause. Throwing angle is going to be a little lower. He's got fastball, slider, curveball combination. Out of the stretch, his angle actually looks a little lower. Command is his strength, so that's not going to be an issue. You saw the 10 strikeouts, no walks. Off speed is what I would think he's going to go to against this powerful lineup for the U.S. And oh, by the way, the complete pitcher we're talking about, he fields his position. The one thing that I would think is a theme that is unusual for Team Japan is the fact that most of their games are played in the dome. And we've got rainy conditions, grass field, a little bit of a different baseball that they're used to, that they have been taking part in from the very beginning, training for this. And obviously, two-time defending champs. So, be interesting to see how the U.S. lineup attacks this pitcher. Will they be aggressive? Because they know he's going to throw a lot of strikes.
Ian Kinsler ready to start things out tonight. Of course, we showed you that video montage of the last time these two teams played for the right to move on back in 2009. And there's been almost 100% turnover on both rosters. In fact, the playing side on Team USA, almost everybody here for the first time. A lot of returnees for Japan's team. We'll get into that as we get cooking tonight. And the semifinal matchup for the right to play Puerto Rico tomorrow night for the title is underway. Kinsler 5 for 21 so far in tournament play.
Where was his first pitch? Maybe a little bit outside. To be clear, the ball to the Japanese pitchers, they said when asked, maybe feels a little bit bigger. And their ball comes tacky, so they don't have to put anything on the baseball, where here you rub it up. It comes shiny and brand new.
Sugano's next pitch is in for a strike. He's got all the pitches, fastball, slider, a slider that is a particularly good pitch for him. And we were told that in order for him to be successful tonight, he has to work the inside corner of the plate, something that he likes to do. Kinsler sends a drive out to the other way, that is, and under it is the only big league player on the Japanese roster, and that's Norichika Aoki. Let's take a look at the rest of the defense around Aoki. Everybody in the infield has won at least one Gold Glove in Japan. Nobuhiro Matsuda has won 5 of them at third base. Risuke Kikuchi at second base is a 4-time Gold Glover, and even the guy on the mound, Sugano, won a Golden Glove last year. It is Golden Gloves in Japan. Our Gold Gloves here in the States, they refer to them as Golden Gloves there, so it is a highly decorated defensive unit as well. Here's Adam Jones now with one away.
Well, it's out. Sugano led his league in 3 major categories, including strikeouts and ERA, and their version of the award, which would be Cy Young over here, he did not win. But he did win that Golden Glove as a pitcher. But you see the categories right there. Pretty good categories to lead your league in, but it did not warrant him the highest prize and their version of the Cy Young.
Ball and a strike to count to Adam Jones. 5-time All-Stars, had a great tournament That one angling for the seats. Reaching in to make the catch is Sho Nakata. Showing his wingspan as well. New ballpark, foreign soil, no problem.
Well, this is going to be a showcase between tremendous talent and athleticism that the USA team has, to not only the talent and athleticism, but discipline. They do everything to be as disciplined as they can be. They rarely make mistakes, work at their craft technique-wise, all the different things defensively, offensively. That's the difference that you'll see between the two brands of baseball in these two countries. The discipline to detail is at their highest level.
Christian Yelich now with 2 quick outs. Sho Nakata is a guy that didn't start playing first base until a little bit later on in his career. Manager Hiroki Kokubu, 18 years as a player in Japan, and in fact was named the manager of the Japanese League team, of the Japanese WBC team, that is, after Japan was eliminated from this tournament in 2013. He has spent the last 3.5 years managing this group. Unlike many of the teams that are assembled for this tournament, they come together in the month or so before the games start. This team's been together for a good 3+ years with the same manager, the same coaching staff. They have been preparing for this very event for quite a bit longer than the rest of the field. Two balls and 2 strikes, the count to Christian Yelich. And on the appeal, they ring him up. Sugano takes care of the Americans 1-2-3 to start the night on a rainy, damp night in LA. All right, here we go. At risk of setting diplomatic relations back decades, I'm going to attempt the Japanese starting lineup presented by Wald. Tetsuro Yamada leads it off. Ryosuke Kikuchi at second base bats in the 2 spot. Aoki, Tsutsugo, Nakata, and Sakamoto bat in the middle of the order. Nobuhiro Matsuda, the outstanding third baseman, hits 7th. And that's a left-right 8-9 combination between Akiyama and Kobayashi there. We're okay so far. Yamada leads things off against an easier to pronounce name, although it took us a while to stop calling Tanner Rourke. His second pitch of the ball game hits Yamada, and Japan's DH is aboard in the bottom of the 1st. If there's a little rust on Tanner Roark, you could understand. He has not thrown a lot, only an inning and a third in the entire tournament, and it came over a week and a half ago in the Dominican game in Miami.
Yeah, a little bit of a tough spot for him, and you could see that trying to pitch the ball in with his sinker catches the jersey. Now, the difference between this lineup and the U.S. lineup, every person in the Japan lineup can bunt.
Here's Ryosuke Kikuchi.
They put pressure on you by doing every fundamentally thing correct. They almost are perfectionists in the way that they go about the game. Defensively, they honor the game in a different way, and they play it a different way.
Yamada's got a sizable lead, looking to bunt his Kikuchi, and he takes a strike. Offered at it 0-1. Kikuchi celebrated a birthday on the day Roark last pitched in the tournament's 27. And as you can tell, he is one of their best bat control artists. He's going to give himself up early again and takes a pitch high. 181 hits last year for Kikuchi. That led the Central League. And by way of description, in Japan, their Central and Pacific leagues are akin to our National and American leagues. One uses the DH, that's the Pacific, the other does not.
And he has also been compared to Javier Baez as far as his defensive ability.
The light rain continuing to fall here at Dodger Stadium tonight. That'll be the circumstance for much of the evening, we're told. Kikuchi gets the bump down. Posey's on it. The sacrifice works, and Japan has an early runner in scoring position without the benefit of a base hit.
Well, for Tanner Roark, I think the biggest thing is pitch to contact. This team doesn't strike out a lot. They have some surprising power. Try to get a better rhythm. You know, that's the thing every pitcher's searching for. Unfortunately, the rain may hurt that rhythm. And then go back to your playoff atmosphere. He's pitched some playoff games for the Nationals because that's what this is going to be. And you obviously want to do as many innings as you can for this team and put your team in the best position to get to the championship game.
So that'll bring up the one member of the Japan roster that we thought at least we were familiar with. It'll be a Houston Astro this year, Norichika Aoki. So we've been so concerned, I think, all of us, the guys that are here covering this tournament on the radio, the world broadcasters with proper pronunciations of the surnames. We thought we were good with this guy, but apparently not only is he not going by Nori, which is what we knew him as to begin his career. He wants to be called Norichika. His last name is pronounced Aoki, not Aoki, as we've been butchering it all these years here in the States. A fine play by Ian Kinsler that time as Aoki shortens up.
Yeah, that was an unbelievable play and a risky play, but you can tell that he's done that before. He barehands this ball, which I thought he had time to field it and then throw, but he was respecting the speed of Aoki and the fact that he looked pretty comfortable making that barehanded with a wet turf. It did look relatively routine.
Here's one of the big matchups to watch and one of the big power threats in the Japan order, Yoshitomo Tsutsugo. A left-handed hitting power threat with a runner at third. He takes a big hack and fouls the first pitch off.
Well, you can already see the theme. I mean, we probably don't have a bunch of film on all these hitters, but the theme early has been pound them in. The first batter got pounded in and the jersey got hit for a hits batsman, but it looks like the concerted effort, at least early on, is to pitch in.
Oh, 2 pitch to Tsutsugo is into the opposite field, but playable for Christian Yelich to retire the side on 9 pitches. Quite a different start as to yesterday's semifinal. To the second on a rainy night in LA, no score. This World Baseball Classic telecast on MLB Network is presented by Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. And sponsored in part by Best Western Hotels and Resorts. Go get rewarded now at bestwestern.com. And by the all-new Alfa Romeo Giulia. Back with John Smoltz and JP Morosi. A scoreless tie so far in the early stages of this semifinal. The winner has a booking tomorrow with Puerto Rico and a chance to win the title. This is the last of the 2 semifinals. Final game of the tournament tomorrow night, live right here on MLB Network at 6 o'clock local time, 9 o'clock in the East. Sho Nakata made a great catch earlier in this one. We saw some good pitching by Sugano in the first, and it's Nolan Arenado who leads things off in the second against Tomoyuki Sugano.
For the USA team, they've had some guys come out and swing the bats early and have success, and they've had some guys not so much have success. And this is one of the guys that's going to have to slow it down for them to win. I think the next 2 days, they need this guy to not be so aggressive. You can tell he's excited. You can tell he wants to be here and represent the U.S. And sometimes, unlike spring training, in this event, you can press a little bit. And I think that has been a noticeable difference in Nolan Arenado early in this tournament.
Eric Hosmer waits on deck behind him. It's a 2-ball 2-strike count to Arenado.
Talking to Jim Leland, he said, man, this guy works hard. He's always in the cage. And, you know, just a subtle conversation of, you're doing good. You just slow it down just a little bit. Relax a little bit.
On the appeal, they say he went around. Couldn't lay off that slider. And that's 2 strikeouts already for Sugano tonight.
Well, you can tell Sugano can spin a baseball. And you can tell already with the unfamiliar that these USA hitters have, they're trying to, in the moment, recognize what kind of pitches they are. And because he has a combination slider, curveball, and he commands his fastball, that's why I thought they might be a little more aggressive on the first fastball they see.
Here's Eric Hosmer now with 1 away. You know, I don't know that there's been a Japanese import that pitched in Major League Baseball that has not thrown some variation of a Suraida, if you will. And from Hideo Nomo on down, Aki Otsuka, the outstanding reliever who was in San Diego for a few years, Kaz Sasaki, they do have the ability to spin it. Sugano showing off that skill set tonight. Chopper to third. Matsuda's got it. Throw to first is just in time to get Hosmer, who was running hard up the line.
Wow, I thought maybe, just maybe, that was close enough to maybe get a review, and that's what Jim's going to ask. This ball gets to the third baseman, and of course the transfer and the throw, but we've talked about Hosmer and how quickly he gets to the bag and can run. And we're going to get our first challenge of this game right now.
Yeah, and it looks like this call is going to be upheld as well. I think that Eric Cooper at first base got it right. U.S. asking for a crew chief review, and this is an important note here. Wow,
it's close. It's got to get to the back of the glove, right?
Man, is that close.
It's got to get to the back of the glove, and the one thing they'll have some looks, and they got to be decisively. It's got to be so clear to overturn it. But I'm with you. I think it may stand.
Yeah, it didn't take long. The call's upheld. So that brings up an important point here in terms of how this game's going to be managed. We've talked about how the rules have expanded to mimic those of Major League Baseball here in the semifinals and finals. There's no challenge per se. Each manager isn't given a challenge, but they do have an opportunity to ask for a crew chief review whenever they'd like. That is on plays that are reviewable. In Japan, the reviews are done a little bit differently, as Andrew McCutchen bats now with 2 away. The only plays that can be reviewed are plays at the plate and home runs. These are the replay reviews here in the tournament. But for the Japanese coaching staff, they are given a luxury that they do not have in Japan. They don't have challenges, and they can only ask for the crew chief review on the 2 plays I just laid out: home runs, boundary calls, and plays at the plate. I think we're all curious to see if Kokobu uses that challenge whenever he can tonight. Hasn't had an opportunity yet, as McCutchen's behind 1 and 2. Andrews is 2 for 13 in the tournament, but man alive, did he have a big hit Saturday in San Diego. Had the 2-run double against Alex Colomé that gave the U.S. a little late breathing room. They would end up with a 6-3 win. See that rain falling a little bit harder here in the second inning tonight. Sugano's 2-2 pitch.
Now that was close to our booth.
So not only are the replay rules a talking point tonight, but so is the weather, John. 5 innings is a complete game tonight. Should the floodgates really open and this become unplayable, 5 innings could determine a winner. That will not be the case tomorrow. All 9 need to be played. Full count now.
Good take by McCutchen. There's some prepared fans there for the weather that you rarely see in LA.
longest plate appearance so far for a U.S. hitter tonight. Here's the 7th pitch of the at-bat to McCutchen. A ground ball sharply hit to Sakamoto, the shortstop, to retire the side. That's 6 up, 6 down for the Japanese right-hander this evening. No score. On a rainy night in Southern California, back with John Smoltz and J.P. Morosi, Matt Vasgersian, and Sho Nakata leads things off in Japan's half of the 2nd inning. Nakata, Sakamoto, and Matsuda here against Tanner Roark, who hit the first batter he faced and then ended up stranding him at third for a scoreless start to the night. A ball and a strike to count to Sho Nakata.
Roark's two-seamer looking very active tonight, meaning it has good life to it. That might be evidence to not having pitched a whole lot in this tournament.
On the corner, and it's a ball and 2 strikes to Nakata.
He throws across his body, so when his land foot hits, it's almost behind the right-handed hitter, and then he has great action on a two-seamer. Of course, his off-speed's very adequate as well.
And Nakata chases a slider for the first out of the inning.
Well, defensively, this little wet track that we've got here tonight, Yelich and Jones. We can't talk enough about Jones and the play that he made in San Diego. McCutchen and Wright, Arenado, Crawford, Kinsler, and Hosmer, with Posey alternating between the two catchers.
Here's Hayato Sakamoto now, the shortstop.
The reason I'm so intrigued, and I'm a huge fan tonight. I know I'm broadcasting this game, but I'm a huge fan because I haven't gotten a chance to see up close Japan that often. And their cultural and philosophical differences in baseball are clashing tonight against the U.S. And so much has been discussed on how we play the game versus how Team Japan plays the game philosophically.
Chopper, Roark slowed it down. Kinsler can't make the barehanded play.
Us
Wet
pitchers.
baseball, the funny English after the pitcher put his mitts on it.
Hardest play for a pitcher to decide is which ones to let go and which ones you can get. We always tend to think that we're going to get them all. And in that case, it would have been better suited to not have deflected that ball. Kinsler makes an easier play without that deflection.
First hit of the ball game. And here's the third baseman, Nobuhiro Matsuda. One of the veterans on this team, a returnee to World Baseball Classic play. On the ground to third, Arenado to Kinsler, room service double play, ball, inning is over. Tanner Roark matching Tomoyuki Sugano through 2. Welcome back. Tino Martinez and Alan Trammell are hoping to get to the championship game tomorrow night. The winner in this semifinal matchup takes on Puerto Rico for the title. We'll be live tomorrow all day for pregame coverage. Game time, 9 Eastern, 6 Pacific, right here on MLB Network. Tomoyuki Sugano back to work against the bottom third of the order, having retired the first 6 batters that he's faced tonight. And here's Buster Posey to lead off the third. Posey, Stanton, and Crawford.
So far, he hasn't thrown more than 2 pitches in a row in the same area, so he keeps the hitters guessing with variety of breaking balls and command of the fastball.
And Buster Posey has the U.S.'s first base hit of the ball game.
I really think the hitters that are simple in their approach and quiet like Buster Posey will have the best chance of success off of Sugano.
Here's the big boy now, Giancarlo Stanton. A monster line drive home run in San Diego on Saturday night. Had a couple of hits that night, now 3 for 14 in the tournament.
I think Sugano actually has better stuff out of the stretch. Now, I would never suggest any starter go just pitch out of the stretch, but he lowers his angle. He has different action on his pitches than if he was pitching out of the windup.
Leadoff hitter aboard here in the U.S. third. Kobayashi setting off well off the plate. A ball and a strike. You know, talking about the Japanese pitching culture, as you can take a look here, you'll see Kobayashi setting up. Well, this is also known as the Javi Lopez camp. We better be careful here. They might not let anybody on the charter tomorrow.
Home run.
Scorched to third. Great play by Matsuda to second for one. They get the double play. We told you this Japanese infield is filled with golden gloves, and they put them on display that time.
Wow. Wow is right. There is no way to describe how hard this ball was hit, again on a wet surface. And he made that look like it was nothing.
Jim Leyland comes out, and they do not get the out at second. Posey's going to be safe at second. And Buster's even saying, hey, you know, I know there's cultural differences in our game, but you got to be kind of close to the bag here. He was called out. He hasn't left the field yet because he's pretty sure he's going to win this challenge. And I got to say that after we look at it again, I think he's right. Yeah, Kikuchi was way off the bag when he had the ball. You know, there's a more literal definition of possession for outs in the U.S. I'm not sure if the neighborhood play is still in Japan, what used to be in the big leagues. That'd be a very liberal interpretation of the neighborhood play. And Posey safe. That was almost a highlight reel play. That play's overturned, and Posey's aboard with one gone.
Ball is overturned. Runner is safe at second base. Batting shortstop number 26, Brandon Crawford.
So now Brandon Crawford will see if he can drive his Giant teammate home from second for the game's first run.
So that ball, just to give you context, we showed you via StatCast, powered by Amazon Web Services, in the open. 117 miles an hour was his home run in San Diego. That ball was 118 on the ground.
Oh, man. Matsuda made an amazing play just to get the glove on it and get the throw off to second. The pitch to Crawford is on the ground for Kikuchi. So back to our discussion of the Japanese pitching philosophy. And one of the differences,
Number 3,
Sugano arrived to
Kinsler.
camp, and the Japanese team trained in Arizona. They came here in early February. Sugano was one of the few pitchers that did not throw a massive workload in bullpen work. For a lot of the guys on this staff, it was not uncommon to throw bullpens that counted into the 200s.
That's part of the different philosophical changes in pitching between their culture and ours.
Here's Kinsler now. The end goal for Sugano, though, as we say hello to JP Morosi, remains getting here to the big leagues.
Yes, Matt, Sugano told me yesterday through an interpreter he's actually been here to train more than 4 times. Very comfortable here in the States. When I asked him if his dream is to pitch here in the major leagues, he sort of laughed nervously and then smiled and nodded his head. And the interpreter told me that is his answer.
There you go. That's it. Sugano, we're told, JP, has family here at Dodger Stadium watching
He does.
this.
His parents in attendance. He has some extended family here as well. He said that when they are in the stands, as they have been for most of my games ever in my career, I am very, very comfortable.
Wow, and coming a long way to watch this one, of course. Here's the 2-0 home to Kinsler. He checks his swing. And it's 3 balls and no strikes now with Adam Jones waiting on deck.
Sugano again hoping that the USA hitters expand the strike zone, get aggressive, because he throws a lot of different pitches in different counts.
Kinsler fly to right in his first try tonight. 3 balls and no strikes, the count from Sugano. The big superstar that everybody was hoping they'd have a chance to watch in this tournament from Team Japan, Shohei Ohtani, the dual scorecard star, who is by many accounts the best pitcher and hitter in the Japanese Professional League. He is not here. He's not participating in the event. The next best they had on the pitching side was Sugano, and we're seeing why tonight. Full count now.
Well, it's interesting because when you combine that superstar status to what he can do both from the mound and from the plate, it's the enamored power that he throws with that Japan's not accustomed to. They don't have a lot of power arms. Many feel like this is the most complete pitcher, though, the one that can command and actually studies more closer to the style of pitchers that usually come out of Japan.
Trying to strand Posey at third with 2 gone. From a 3-0 count to a 3-2 pitch to Kinsler, which is wrapped to third. Matsuda very good at the hot corner. And nothing comes of the leadoff single. Played 2.5 tonight, no score. Baseball Classic. The winner of this one meets Puerto Rico tomorrow for the title as Tanner Roark goes back to work. 8-9, then the top of the order for Japan. This is Shogo Akiyama. And it's a ball and a strike to Japan's center fielder. John Paul Morosi, we hear what sounds like an entire brass section here. And they're playing intermittently. Have you figured out the staccato rhythms of what's happening?
Yes, Matt. Well, again, according to our great editorial consultant, Brad Lefton, this is described as the O-Andan, the cheering section. Very popular in Japanese baseball. You've got the horns out in the left field pavilion here at Dodger Stadium.
Hey!
And all the fans, Matty, every fan knows the unique song to each player. In this case, it was for Akiyama, so you heard them singing their song. It's very unique. You really hear a different pace, a different melody, a different beat for every single player, Matt. It's that way at the Tokyo Dome, Sapporo Dome, every ballpark in Japan.
It's really one of the neat cultural differences in how this game is consumed in the Far East. I mean, there are organized cheering sections for players and teams at all their venues. All right. Here's Seiji Kobayashi. Kobayashi has handled the catching duties here in the World Baseball Classic. And according to all reports, he has improved his stock dramatically. Was not counted on to be the starter on this squad. But he's been given the opportunity due to injury. And he's actually been one of their most consistent hitters in the tournament.
Yeah, as the backup going in, he had the worst average on the team, and you see what he's done, 8 for 18. Offensively, picking it up for this tournament.
27-year-old Yomiuri Giant. And it's 3 balls and a strike. Might be a time for Kobayashi to really evolve into his own player. He's in the process of taking over behind the plate for the longtime Giants catcher Shinosuke Abe, who we remember from the World Baseball Classic, the last 2 runnings. Abe's going to move to first base, and that's going to accommodate Kobayashi behind the plate. Full count from Tanner Roark. flare out to left field that will get in behind Crawford for a 1-out base hit.
Well, earlier while we were talking to JP, Tanner had this little missile back up. He finishes a pretty good spot. You should see that pitch. Not every pitcher finishes in a good place, and that's where you see some of those pitchers get hit in the backside or on the body. But Tanner finishes good, and the conditions haven't become too wet where he's slipping, and handled that play relatively easy for as hard as it was hit.
Back to the top of the order now in Tetsuto Yamada. Yamada was hit by a pitch to lead off the first and could get no farther than third base. Undeterred by Mother Nature's curveball tonight, fans that have traveled from Japan. You know, back to Tanner Roark, John, and I know you agree with this. He is one of the more underreported pitchers in Major League Baseball. There are other names on that national staff that get more hype, more headlines, more publicity, but few have been more consistent than Tanner Roark.
Absolutely. He's had an outstanding year last year. And let's face it, he had to endure something that a lot of pitchers couldn't have or wouldn't have. He was already an established pitcher, but when the Nationals signed Scherzer and the room was made for him in the bullpen, he went down there, minded his own business, did the bullpen thing, and then the next year, as you see here, becomes a full starter and has a really outstanding campaign. 16-10. That record should have been a lot better, by the way, but it works out that way sometimes. Results don't match the effort.
Yeah, you really have to go back to 2014, I think, to get the better snapshot of how important Tanner Roark is. He's had 2 full seasons as a full-time starter, and he's earned at least 15 wins in both of those years, 2014 and then in 2016. Aggressive lead for Kobayashi, and a swing and a miss. We talked to Hiroki Kukubo, the manager of Team Japan, before the game, through a translator, of course. And we asked the question about the running game. Is it all controlled from the dugout? Are there stop signs and go signs for everybody? Or do some of your players have a constant green light? And the answer was the latter. There are a few guys that can run on their own. On the ground to Crawford. Knocked it down to second. They get the out there. The conditions playing a role into what we're seeing so far tonight.
Yeah, again, the conditions are not perfect. It's kind of a little pesky, little drizzle. Crawford, such a good arm, so good with his hands, gets the ball, and the question is going to be whether Kinsler was on the bag, and it looks like he was.
Yeah. Well, for his part, Kobayashi has not left the field, even though the call on the field was for an out. And now through a translator, Hiroki Kukubo comes out to likely ask for a crew chief review.
You know, if you see it live, you see Kinsler's foot's off the bag, but slowing it down, you'll be able to see his foot was on the bag when he makes the catch. Almost spikes touching it.
So this answers our question, John. We were wondering how Japan's coaching staff would handle the luxury of asking for reviews for plays other than those that they can ask for in Japan. And on the first close call, they are asking for a crew chief review.
And so far, they've been fairly quick in resulting in the answers, and this one's going to take less than 10 seconds or 15 seconds.
Call's confirmed. So Kobayashi's out at second base, and Yamada reaches on fielder's choice, gives the grounds crew an opportunity now to do a little grooming on the mound.
Normally in a regular season game, this would be done after the inning. But as you mentioned, I didn't even know they had a tarp here.
That's blown you away this week, I know. Well, the great Keith Costas informs us that we're coming up on the 17-year anniversary of the last Dodger Stadium rainout. I mean, it virtually never happens here.
That tarp wasn't here yesterday, so they bring it in from somewhere. Because I looked down both lines and there's no plate. I'm like, I remember asking, where do they keep the tarp?
Yeah.
So they put it in center field, and in case one of these rare moments you get rain, they bring it over there and place it on the right field line.
Sent it down from Seattle. A 2-out base runner at first now for Ryosuke Kikuchi. Japan's second baseman. He bunted in his first plate appearance. Runner goes, and the throw down's not in time on Yamada.
Wow, we could have back-to-back replays on consecutive plays. I mean, that ball looked like it absolutely beat him to the bag. I don't know if he's going to be safe or not, but this throw was right on the money. And I'll tell you what, that's worth a review myself. He gets him on the back knee. Does the foot hit?
Look. Yeah,
he's going to be safe. I don't think we've seen back-to-back replays before in the, or I haven't.
Yeah, I believe Yamada to be safe here. You know, these reviews, we've had 3 of them already in this game, and they've been super quick. Only one of them over a minute, and that was at 1:01.
Well, the tag got down late. We've been used to seeing Mr. Baez just absolutely the greatest we've ever seen at applying the tag. But the tag comes in just a little bit late and gets to the back knee with the front leg hitting the back.
I would imagine they've been looking at these replays in New York, so I would imagine that this won't take very long. Buster thought he had him.
Best throw so far by Posey in the tournament.
Well, either the inning's over or Japan has a runner in scoring position. So it's a potentially big swing. It does look like Yamada was safe, and the call is confirmed on the field. 4 challenges already in this game. And by the way, it's not exactly 72 and mild. Got to get this in as expeditiously as possible now. So the count's 1-0 on Kikuchi's batting with a runner in scoring position.
Roark was asking the umpire to please clean off home plate.
Once again in this championship round, we are as close to major league rules as possible. The only difference is there is no official manager's challenge. In stark contrast to what happened earlier in the tournament. And the 1-0 to Kikuchi is bounced to third for Arenado. The 4-time Gold Glover ends the inning with the throw to first. A runner left stranded, nothing on a hit. We played 3 complete, no score in LA. A scoreless tie as we're into the 4th inning tonight. Conditions are wet. Grounds crew here doing as good a job as they can to keep the field playable. We've already had 4 reviews. Nobody's hit much, and all the credit there should go to Tanner Roark and his opposite number tonight, Tomoyuki Sugano. Adam Jones leads it off in the 4th.
I'm impressed. Again, we talked about in the open about Japan playing majority of their games in dome conditions. They haven't seemed to be phased at all by these conditions and the grass field. They've handled themselves beautifully so far.
Aoki, Tsutsugo, and Nakata. When we go to the next half inning, looking for a little offense here, and here in the U.S. half of the 4th, Jones, Yelich, and Arenado. Jones has had a great series. The walk-off hit against Columbia in Miami, that saved the day. He's hit 2 home runs. They came on back-to-back nights in San Diego. And that's to say nothing of his defense. The signature moment in the tournament for Team USA. robbed a home run against the Dominican Republic, kept it a 2-run game. Adam Jones will get some serious consideration for MVP should the Americans win this thing, regardless of what happens the next 2 nights.
And I'm just telling you, seriously, besides the USA uniform when he robbed that incredible catch, it was his teammate that he robbed it of. Yeah. That's a year-long gift that just doesn't stop giving, because whenever there's a moment, he's going, hey, remember when I robbed that home run in San Diego?
Ball and 2 strikes to count to Jones. So far, Sugano is exactly what was advertised.
Yeah, I just like the fact that, you know, again, I hate using the word perfectionist, but they go about their trade so much differently than we do. As you see him just kind of slip. He changes arm angles, he changes slots, he has a variety of pitches he throws for strikes. They throw more, they pitch more, they have a philosophy that's way different than the U.S. And maybe when they come over here, that's why it's so difficult for them.
Ties up Adam Jones. He didn't come inside until the 2-strike count. He's really kept the U.S. guessing tonight. That's 3 strikeouts for him.
He has. He doesn't go to the same area more than twice in a row, and so they're trying to figure him out on the fly. And the other thing, that they pretty much pitch once every 6 days. It's a shortened season and allows them the ability to throw more in between.
Christian Yelich now. He was a strikeout victim to end the first. Well, Sugano last season struck out 189 batters in 183 innings. He worked to an ERA of 2.01. It's hard to imagine he was only 9-6. 0-2. I feel like half the guys coming over from Japan could get by on fastball slider, because they throw like 4 fastballs and like 9 sliders.
Yeah, they can spin it. And you don't really hear, now that's a whole nother philosophy, you don't hear a lot of Tommy John recipients in Japan. Now we've heard of some when they come over here, and a couple of them already, with Yu Darvish, Daisuke, and Tanaka has not had it yet, but the topic has been he's headed towards one, and he has disproved that ever since he got the first reading on his elbow.
You know, and so much of that is by the time a Japanese league star pitcher gets to the U.S., there's a serious chronicling of innings that have already kind of accumulated. I mean, Tanaka threw a lot of innings in Japan before he became a Yankee. 2 balls and 2 strikes to Christian Yelich. And a breaking ball bounced to second base that eats up Kikuchi. Took a bad hop, and Yelich is on his way to second. Wow. Kikuchi is a 4-time Golden Glover, considered one of the best defenders in all of Japan, and that hop just ate him up.
Yeah, that hop was because he was also deep in the grass, and I think he gets the skip. That is a little bit different than if it would have been fielded on the dirt. Watch this ball top spin, and then again one more when it gets to the grass. Reacts differently, couldn't knock it down in front of him. See that last skip right there? It ate him up. And that has to do with the wet turf. He's in position, but that skip bounces a little bit quicker and higher than his hands were ready. Last time these two teams met, it was the U.S. team with some errors that led on to Japan going on to win.
Here's Nolan Arenado now. U.S. has a runner in scoring position for the 2nd time tonight. This is how good a defender Kikuchi is. We talk about the 4 Golden Gloves in the Japanese Professional League. Last year, he played 141 games. He had 836 chances and committed only 4 errors. A ball and no strikes to Arenado. A little bit more on the defensive prowess of Kikuchi. You'll notice a lot of the games are played in Japan on turf. Not to discredit him. Oh yeah, he's an acrobat too, folks. He's the Japanese answer to Javi Baez. A ball and a strike to count to Arenado.
I don't know if Arenado will take this approach, but if he thinks right center, that'll keep him back against the off speed. And even if he gets the fastball, he's strong enough to find the right center gap. It just looks like he's trying to get out in front of a lot of these pitchers. There's a great block by the catcher, and his aggressiveness has been making him expand the strike zone. And I think that's why we're seeing a little less success out of the great Arenado.
Two balls and a strike. Arenado, one of the 3 strikeout victims posted by Sugano so far tonight. Slider in the dirt. Keep in mind the pitch counts. We've reminded you of these numbers throughout the tournament, and here in the semifinals the number is 85. That's the max for Sugano and for Roark. That is 95. Check to swing on the appeal. He went around.
Again, to show you, I mean, the conditions are pretty nasty right now, and the pitchers are doing the best they can, but the hitters for the U.S. team has had now 5 check swings. That's a lot in a game, yet it's only in the 4th inning. So they're having a hard time picking it up.
Yeah, Arenado was rung up on a check swing strikeout in his first at bat. Yelich at second with 1 gone, 3 balls and 2 strikes on Arenado. Kobayashi wants to crowd him here. Struck him out. 4 strikeouts for Sugano tonight.
35, Eric Hosmer.
This is just right down central, and to show you, he's getting caught in between. His timing's not been great. And all trying into these games, trying to get it going has been difficult.
Deep counts, and Nolan Arenado usually has you where he wants you. Here's Hosmer now. Arenado hit .533 after the count got to 3-1 last year.
This will be the toughest guy that Sugano faces tonight, in my opinion.
Another check swing and another strike. It's 0-1. Why do you feel that way about Hosmer?
I just think the way he's approached this and the way that he's come up with big hits, he might expand the zone early, but he finds a way late. Now that's the aggressive approach, and that's the perfect pitch against a guy who loves to seek fastballs. But this guy's been clutch. Keeps getting better.
Had a good tournament as well. 8 for 21 with a homer and 5 driven in. High target by Kobayashi. He was up in the Bill Dickey stance there. Did you see that setup?
Yeah, I'll tell you, I'm again impressed with the way that they execute and their game plan so far against our hitters. And you can see the conditions are starting to affect everybody.
Yeah. We're told that Sugano threw an entire bullpen with his catcher standing up. in Arizona last month. A real bullpen, not just a play catch session. 0-2 the count to Eric Hosmer.
Well, and that's kind of what I was talking about when Dice K came over to the States. He would throw a 200-pitch bullpen, and they were freaking out and trying to change him and get him more used to the custom of the U.S. baseball. But in the dome, Tokyo Dome, they have their bullpens underneath, and it's been known that starters would come out of the inning and go underneath and keep throwing. It's just more comfortable for them, and they don't get caught up, and you only got so many throws in your arm and pitch counts and such.
Ball and 2 strikes to count to Hosmer. Yes. Opportunities with runners in scoring position have been few and far between on both sides early on tonight. U.S. 0 for 2 with runners in scoring position. Andrew McCutchen next. 2 balls and 2 strikes. The count on Eric Hosmer, batting with 2 away and a runner at second and a scoreless tie. Kobayashi setting a wide target this time. Full count.
Not afraid to go 3-2 at all. Matter of fact, that's one of the highest compliments over there, is to strike a batter out and a 3-2 count.
And this is where it's anybody's guess. Lost him on ball 4.
And talking to the Rangers, that was one of the things they were trying to impress upon Yu Darvish. You can throw less pitches. He would go 1-2, 0-2, and go to 3-2 so many times. But they found out that based on the culture, that was such a high honor to strike somebody out on a 3-2 pitch. Whereas over here, if you watch Greg Maddux, it was on 3 pitches. 0-2 is not messed around to get a hitter to chase to get to 3-2.
So the U.S. has runners at first and second without the benefit of a base hit, an error and a walk.
See, that's my point about Eric Hosmer. That's what makes him so good right now. Early on, he'll expand, he'll attack, and then with 2 strikes, he's stingy.
Andrew McCutchen is 2 for 14 in the tournament. And if at the very least you're just looking for small bits of success, the U.S. lineup, they've sent 4 batters to the plate in the inning. And they've at least extracted 22 pitches out of Sugano. So good work working the counts. Hosmer in particular came back from being behind 0-2. A ball and no strikes to McCutchen.
We saw McCutchen, and he has been struggling a little bit. He will not struggle if he gets one middle in. It's the pitch away that's given him a little bit of the issues. That hit he got in San Diego against the Dominican was middle, and he smoked it in the gap for a double.
A ball and no strikes to the 5-time All-Star. Lined into left field, a base hit. They're going to try with Yelich. He'll be waved around to score, and the U.S. strikes first in L.A. tonight. Andrew McCutchen has saved his biggest contributions for when they matter most down the stretch of the tournament.
Watch where this pitch was. Supposed to be away, and it hung in the middle, and McCutchen did not miss it. 2 of his last 2 hits have been huge. And that'll get a guy going for sure.
We talked about the two-run double Saturday night against the Dominicans. RBI single here starts the scoring.
And the uncharacteristic error, playing deep in second base. The conditions led to that and have given the U.S. a lead.
Japan bullpen is active with a right-hander and a left-hander with 2 on, 2 out, and a run in the inning for the 4-time All-Star Buster Posey. Posey singled to lead off the 3rd. The first of the 2 hits against Sugano tonight.
The likelihood of this happening is probably not great, but we did mention, you mentioned, that this game, if it's a 5-inning game, would be considered a complete game. So a lead after 5 is no small thing, given the weather, if it were to take a turn for the worse.
And Posey pops it up. And out from shortstop to make the catch is Sakamoto. That was headed for no man's land. The U.S. gets on the board. An error, a walk, and a well-timed base hit makes it a 1-0 game in Los Angeles. The U.S. on the board, a 1-0 lead for the Americans, and Tanner Roark working with that advantage in the last of the 4th. Norichika Aoki, Yoshitomo Tsutsugo, and Sho Nakata here in the Japan half of the 4th. Roark's off to a good start tonight. Just 2 singles allowed to the Japanese lineup. He's hit a batter and allowed a stolen base on his watch. Aoki looking to bunt. So I guess Nori Aoki is a fan of Back to the Future. The Little Traveling Band playing John Williams scores tonight. A ball and no strikes. Check that to 2-0. 2-0 on Aoki. 8 years in Japan for the newest Houston Astro. That's wrapped softly to second for Kinsler. 1 routine out starts the 4th. Between innings, JP Morosi had a chance to chat with one of the U.S. idled stars in this one, Paul Goldschmidt.
Well, Goldie, you competed against McCutchen for an MVP. How about his swings here in this tournament?
Yeah, he's been hitting the ball really hard. He caught a couple tough breaks there in San Diego. Hit some balls deep to right center. That's a big 2-out knock right there.
So maybe not a typical Dodger Stadium evening weather-wise, but what's the mood been like here in this dugout?
Yeah, it just says pretty cool to have them cheer you on. You know, usually they're talking trash to us, but this place can get loud, and you know the USA chants is pretty cool to be on that side of those chants.
The whole experience for you, Paul, on this team, what's been the biggest highlight?
Man, it's just been fun to play with these guys. So many great players and against them. And, you know, the crowd's been great. Had a big one against the Dominican in Miami where we were on the wrong side of it. And then a big win against them in San Diego. So it's been fun to play some competitive games with a great atmosphere.
Paul, thanks so much.
Yeah, thanks.
You know, the words from Paul Goldschmidt there as he visited with JP are echoed throughout Team USA's clubhouse as Yoshitomo Tsutsugo stands in. These guys have had a lot of fun playing with each other. They're aware of the fact that they're an all-star company. And I know the players I've spoken to have all echoed those same sentiments. They're having a blast. And Jim Leland is hopeful that the experience that they're having will help kind of ambassador other players in future runnings of this tournament to consider playing for Team USA. Three balls and a strike to one of the big power threats in the Japan lineup. And Tsutsugo now at a full count, 3-2.
Well, I definitely think that's going to happen. And this time around might go a long way to some of those guys after they hear from the current players on this team. Of course, we'll have a different manager and setup.
Full count, 3 balls and 2 strikes, and Tsutsugo's aboard. There are worse fates to the guy that led the Central League in home runs last year. Right-hander Nate Jones is up in the U.S. bullpen. First walk issued by Roark.
He's been really good for the most part with his sinker. He's gotten some ground balls and a couple right at the infielders. You see a double play ball. He's so good at getting ground balls because of those sinkers.
Here's Sho Nakata now with 1 out and 1 on. He has been the only strikeout victim posted by Roark tonight. Saw Nakata make a good play early in the ball game. The Nippon Series is the Japan League's version of our World Series here in the U.S. And in this year's Nippon Series, Nakata had a great run for the champions, the Fighters, who defeated Hiroshima 4-2. 1-1.
You know, most of the style of hitting is similar. They've got the big leg kicks. Some of them look like they bail out but find a way to put the bat on the ball. But this lineup has a little bit more power than maybe people thought. These conditions might make that a little tougher, but nonetheless, there is power in this lineup.
Posey crowds him into the opposite field. McCutchen is under it to make the catch. Two away. Tsutsugo has to hold it first.
I would think that after this inning is complete, maybe they might think about starting to do some work on the infield. Whenever you see it get a little shiny, you start worrying about the footing and playability to it. Right now it's still fine, but if this rain continues, they'll have to put some of that diamond dry down on the infield.
Sakamoto singled back in the second inning tonight. Hayato Sakamoto won a Golden Glove at shortstop this past year. He was a child prodigy, drafted out of high school in Japan at the age of 19. And became the first teenager to start on opening day in the Japanese professional league since the great Hideki Matsui. In our crash course in Japanese baseball before the game today, we were told that when a player is drafted out of high school, he has a longer term to stay in Japan before he is granted his international free agency. He's got to stay in Japan for 9 years. That's out to the opposite field, but served right to McCutchen to retire the side. A couple of well-hit balls, but McCutchen was in the right spot.
Well, the only run that we have, StatCast powered by Amazon Web Services, is going to take a look at two things. One, the provider of the run, Andrew McCutchen, 95.5, but then look at Yelich. Flat out hitting ball quick. 20 miles an hour in under 7 seconds from second to home.
Giancarlo Stanton leads things off in the U.S. half of the fifth. Stanton, Crawford, and Kinsler 1-0 Americans early on tonight. Tomoyuki Sugano continues. 65 pitches into his night. He struck out 4 this evening. The only trouble, an unearned run in the 4th inning. We mentioned Sugano's employer in Japan. He is a Yomiuri Giant. That's one of the gold medal brands in the Japanese Professional League. It almost didn't go that way, however. He was originally drafted by the Nippon Ham Fighters in 2011. And it was a rather controversial selection because he has a long family history with Yomiuri. His uncle, his grandfather, a legendary high school coach, they all wanted him to be a Giant. So he refused Nippon Ham. Sat out a year, re-entered the draft in 2012, where Yomiuri made him a first-round pick. A wave and a miss, 5 strikeouts for him tonight. JP, we've heard stories like that in regards to amateurs here in the U.S. as well as a big deal in Japan.
It is, Matt, and here's an interesting thing about the fact that Sugano sat out that year. When this year is over, he won't have the requisite number of years to be exempt from the amateur signing bonus pool to come to the U.S. So if he had played that year with the Fighters, he'd already be eligible to be more or less a freer free agent coming over to the U.S. after the season.
Well, that's a big footnote, and at the age of 27, getting to that point where if he wants to come here and make some money, those years all add up. Off the fist, back to Sugano, who can clearly field his position as well, and there are 2 away.
Second baseman, Ian
Not the
Kinsler.
easiest of plays given the field conditions, but he too won a Golden Glove. 0 errors for him. Jams Crawford. And an in-between, little slip, but then he gathers himself and makes an easy out.
Here's Ian Kinsler now. Kinsler has flied out and grounded out tonight. Two out, bases empty, 1-0 U.S. Top half of the 5th. Well hit the other way. Aoki started in but recovers to retire the side in order. An 8-pitch 5th by Tomoyuki Sugano. An unearned run, the difference early tonight in a 1-0 U.S. game. This World Baseball Classic telecast on MLB Network is brought to you by the Puerto Rico Tourism Company. Visit cpuertorico.com to plan your trip today. And sponsored in part by T-Mobile. Switch to the network built for unlimited data. And by MLB The Show 17, available March 28th. Pitching change for Team USA. Tanner Roark lifted after 4. He leaves after 4 shutout innings in favor of the right-hander Nate Jones.
Nate Jones is as funky of an arm action as you will see, but he throws hard, fastball, slider. Tanner Roark did an incredible job under the circumstances, pitched to contact, and really was able to get back out there after a long rest and not a lot of action in the WBC so far.
Nobuhiro Matsuda leads things off in the Japanese 5th. Matsuda, Akiyama, and Kobayashi the bottom 3rd of the order. Jones' last pitch on Friday threw a perfect inning in the 1-run loss to Puerto Rico. Coming off a great 2016 with the Sox. 2.29 ERA in 71 appearances, a career high 28 holds. And Jones is going to yield. Not in time. Nate decided to give up pursuit of the ball in favor of Hosmer. They tried to get it done 3-1, and Matsuda beat it out. Here comes Jim Leyland. He might want to take another look.
Well, it's a tough in-between play, right? They just try to put it in play, and then the pitcher's got to read it along with the first baseman. He gets to the bag.
Ooh.
And I think.
What was that close?
I think he got there and put his foot down, and the ball in the glove. Good play by Hosmer. I think he's going to get him.
Yeah. Call on the field is that of an infield single.
I'm marking it down on my scorecard. I know I shouldn't do that.
Calling it an out, huh?
Yeah. There's some angles we may not have seen yet that will determine a different opinion.
Hosmer had to kind of do some funky hand and finger finessing just to shovel that ball to the first base bag.
Well, Nate Jones went his route a little too far.
Ball's reversed. And Matsuda's out.
The pitcher, if he doesn't get it between a straight line between the mound and first base, you know the fielder behind you's got it. It's an easier play if you take a straight line. But Nate Jones went out and around and almost, watch how the route he takes. And this is the play that gets overturned because his spikes are definitely on the bag as he catches the ball. But here's the route. Look how he veers too far out and then he has to get back to the bag.
Five crew reviews in this one so far tonight. They've all been quick. Here's Shogo Akiyama now with one away and the base is empty. 28-year-old Seibu Lion. Softly to center. Adam Jones backpedals on it, and there are two away. They've kept a pretty good hitter quiet. Akiyama last year hit a single season record 216 base hits. I don't think it's going to be an issue tonight, John, because if anything, the rain has slowed down. But bear in mind, we are 1 out away from this being an official game tonight. There's the number 9 hitter, the catcher, Kobayashi.
Jones has come in pouring in strikes. The only trouble he gets in is he can't command that fastball. The mechanical oddity, if you will, doesn't line up, but he has been pouring in 98, 97 mile-an-hour fastballs low. There's a slider at 89. So a wrinkle that the Japanese team hasn't seen probably somebody like this with his mechanics.
A taller, harder throwing Russ Ortiz with that shot put delivery. Two out, base is empty. The 1-2 backs him up and rings him up. All business. Nate Jones retires the side on 9 pitches. We played 5 complete in Los Angeles tonight. One of these two teams is moving on to the finals tomorrow for a date with Puerto Rico. And so far, it's Team USA with a 1-0 advantage. Follow every pitch of this year's World Baseball Classic live with the MLB.com at-bat mobile app. And stay connected to the game all year long with radio broadcast, video highlights, stats, news, and more. Download MLB.com at-bat today. And join Major League Baseball a new era as we celebrate opening day. Make sure to wear your cap on April 3rd. Share a photo on social media using the hashtag #CapsOn. And then tune into all the opening day action coming up April 3rd. Adam Jones will be ready for opening day with the Orioles. A little matter of this one and perhaps tomorrow's before he goes back to Baltimore camp, and he's on board to start the 6th. We've already talked about how Tomoyuki Sugano can field. I'm going to play a little game with you, John. There's 2 choices here, and you can pick which is the better way to field a comebacker. There's this, or there is this.
Definitely not this. This is not how you do it. You got to commit. Look, the effort's off the charts, and that video never gets old, right? I mean, seriously, though. You know, I was trying everything I could. That was my next option. Didn't work out.
Awesome that you allow us to have as much fun with that as we have for the last 2 weeks. Here's Christian Yelich now. He has reached on an error and scored the game's lone run. Japan had bullpen activity behind Sugano in the 4th. Nobody was up behind him in the 5th because he breezed through the side. A swing and a miss. Jones is on the move. Throw down to second is in time to get him. Seiji Kobayashi threw out a Central League best 36% of would-be thieves last year. He nails Adam Jones here in the 6th.
Well, I know that's going to look like a steal, but that was really a hit and run. So Adam Jones was relying on Yelich, bat command. and control. And it didn't happen right there. He knew unless it was a bad throw, he was going to be out.
Breaking ball fouled away, and now it's a ball and 2 strikes on Christian Yelich.
You know, we talked about it, and at least I talked about the spin that can be created for Sugano. And through 5 innings, his 4-seam fastball has a spin rate of 2,500 with a high of 2688. Just to put that into context, only 7 pitchers had a higher average 4-seam spin rate in the big leagues. It's pretty good company. That just goes to show you why this guy's a complete pitcher. Justin Verlander, to name a few, Matt Scherzer, Aroldis Chapman, Yu Darvish. So he is up there with the likes of some of the best we have, and being able to spin that 4-seam fastball.
2-2 to Yelich on a couple of hops for Sho Nakata. 2-time Golden Glover makes easy work of that. Boy, that caught stealing really kind of took the bite out of the inning. You had the leadoff single. Jones is caught stealing. Yelich bounces out. 2 gone, bases empty for Nolan Arenado now.
And there's another comparison that you could make in Tanaka, Sugano. You take your pick. They both look the same. They both have the same mechanical delivery. A little bit of a higher glove maybe at the beginning for Sugano. But both can command a baseball and spin it.
0-1 the count to Nolan Arenado. Arenado's strikeout back in the 4th was a comeback count for Sugano. He fell behind 3-1 and then came back to strike out Arenado. And as we mentioned at the time, Arenado made a living last year in 3-1 counts. Behind here quickly, 0-2. U.S. bullpen is busy. Nate Jones didn't have to work very hard in his 1-2-3 inning. But Andrew Miller is up for the Americans just in case. Here's the 0-2 home to Arenado, and he's caught looking, and he knew it. 6 strong innings from Tomoyuki Sugano. Still a matter of that 1 unearned run that's been the difference tonight in a 1-0 U.S. lead. There's a new season just a couple of weeks away, and MLB Network is bringing you 11 live opening week games, plus live look-ins and analysis from the best in the biz on MLB Tonight. Opening week coverage presented by Best Western, beginning April 2nd right here on MLB Network. Nate Jones continues after a quick 1-2-3 fifth. His 2nd inning of work will consist of the top of the order for Japan, Yamada, Kikuchi, and Aoki. Yamada, an important player to keep off the base paths, a 2-time Central League stolen base champ. He was 30 for 32 on the base paths last year. Been on base in both of his plate appearances so far, and he has stolen a bag tonight. 2-1.
There's the slider, comes out of his hand, probably slipped, but backed up, trying to spin this ball, and of course that's not the direction of the spin that he wanted.
Two balls and 2 strikes to Yamada.
So here's what Jim Leyland is faced with. He's got a bunch of different rules that different organizations are going to want for their pitchers, right? And he's got back-to-back games. So more than likely, Nate Jones is not going to pitch tomorrow if they go on. That's why he's extended them. And if he pitched 30 pitches, then they can't pitch in the next game, because Puerto Rico had the day off, but it's still.
Slider finishes off Yamada.
It's the same rules for them. So when you get down to the last 2 games, the usage of pitchers, very important.
Yeah, JP, let's bring you in on this. It's something that Jim Leyland's been aware of all tournament long, and for sure down the stretch here.
He has been, Matt. And one note for tomorrow night. Edwin Diaz told me he is good to go for tomorrow. The Mariners have given him their blessing to pitch in that game. So we recall that amazing encounter between Diaz and Valentin last night. Diaz available for Puerto Rico tomorrow.
Wow, and he went 2 innings last night. So that's a a big availability, a big turn of events potentially for Puerto Rico tomorrow night. Here's Kikuchi now. He's 0 for 1 tonight.
He went 2 innings, but he inherited that first and second. Then there was the bunt and the double play. So not a ton of pitches,
right.
and not surprised that they're allowing him after a day off to get back in there.
It was the error charged to Kikuchi on the wet grass that led to the game's only run tonight. It's behind 1-2. There were reports, John, and we can't confirm them, but there were reports that the Dutch team last night was in fact trying to communicate with the Dodgers during the game to get more than 1 inning out of Kenley Jansen.
Because it went so quickly?
Yeah, I'm not sure the time date stamp, if the phone call was made to Dodger brass after his inning, right before his inning, sometime mid-game. But the Dodgers were pretty clear with Jansen's availability. It was 1 inning, whether it was 1, 2, 3 or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That was all they were getting out of it. Kikuchi to the opposite field. The ball well hit. McCutchen back. He leaps. Did he make the catch? No, that one's gone to tie it in the 6th. Kikuchi does, in fact, get that run back. So that's going to be all for Nate Jones. The game-tying swing here in the last of the 6th. A pitching change for the U.S. and we'll be right back. A home run by the second baseman Yosuke Kikuchi. He went opposite field on Nate Jones, and after his error allowed the U.S. to score an unearned run, he ties it with 1 swing of the bat in the 6th.
He basically used the power of Jones and went with the pitch.
So it's Andrew Miller now for the U.S. Back-to-back left-handed hitters in the Japan lineup. An ideal opportunity to use Miller, who may be available tonight for more than just an inning, we were told before the game. These two have met only once in a big league game. It resulted in a strikeout last June. Aoki takes a strike. Tie game last of the 6th. The winner moves on for a date tomorrow night with Puerto Rico to determine a champion. 3 balls and a strike to Aoki. Power threat waiting next. Yoshitomo Tsutsugo. Full count now. When Aoki came stateside, he was known for, get this, foul balls.
Yeah.
That was his thing.
Yep.
Battled in the count, spoiled off pitch after pitch after pitch. As we've come to know him as a ball player in the States these years, he's much more than that. And he draws the walk here in the 6th. So the Cleveland Indian with the runner aboard, and there is a former Cleveland Indian, John, that's drawn comparisons to Yoshitomo Tsutsugo. This from our colleague Buck Martinez, who in Japan said Tsutsugo reminded him a lot of Jim Thome.
A little slender maybe, but the reaction to the ball off the bat, very similar. Right now he's facing tough left-hander in Andrew Miller. Miller has not been as crisp. Working his way to get ready for the season. His slider has been just okay, but the command has been a little bit off. Had a rough outing against the Dominican Republic.
Yeah, Yeah, the last outing in the tournament for Andrew Miller came on Friday against Puerto Rico. He came into the 6th inning, inherited a base runner and a 3-0 count, if you'll remember. He walked the 3-0 count, then got a strikeout against a pinch hitter. And then the next batter hit a ground ball to third that Nolan Arenado took a bad hop on. So that outing Friday, better than the outing he made in Miami a week earlier, victimized by some bad circumstance behind it. But to your point, John, not the automatic Andrew Miller that we saw last year after the All-Star break.
No, and he doesn't get as many reps. Starters get more opportunities with the innings they throw. Relievers get their short stints. And that's the one thing I don't think a lot of people understand when they leave camp. Relievers, closers have to be checked in. I mean, they can't be a work in progress once they leave camp. And because of the workload of certain teams like Cleveland and Chicago, they're going to take it a little slower with some of their guys that had volume the year before. So maybe a little bit of rust and the opportunity to amp it up here in March. It's not fair to say that Andrew Miller should be locked in necessarily.
And a wave and a miss, 2 balls and 2 strikes to Tsutsugo. Dangerous hitter, last year's Central League home run champ.
See, what makes Miller so hard to hit is his slider disappears when it starts over the middle of the plate. Right now it's kind of rolling just a little bit. It's giving the hitter a little bit of a chance. In most cases with 2 strikes against the left-hander, they're not going to have a chance. He's going to sweep this slider, make it look like a strike, end up out of the strike zone. They swing and miss about 80% of the time.
Didn't get the swing and miss. That's the very pitch you described. But Tsutsugo was able to lay off of it, and it's 3-2 now.
Either great discipline or he was fooled.
Karnak. I mean, it happened back-to-back pitches. And he gets the strikeout of Tsutsugo. Does Andrew Miller?
He gets the 3-2 in neutral count. That one swept a lot more and stayed in the strike zone to the hitter a lot more as he perceived it. And at that point, he's just trying to do anything he can to foul it off. Now the opposite will be true for a right-hander. He'll try to get that slider to his back foot, his right foot, especially when he gets ahead in the count.
Sho Nakata now takes a strike. Nakata has struck out and lined out tonight.
And that fastball sets it up. So now remember, to a hitter, he sees that fastball in. So now he has to be conscious of the fastball in, and when you throw the slider in, you swing over the top of it.
Go-ahead run at first base after the home run by Kikuchi tied it here in the 6th. The pitching change to Miller. He walked Aoki, struck out Tsutsugo. Now pitching to the 2-time RBI champ Sho Nakata.
So we've got Sho and Shogo, right?
Say again.
We have Sho, and then we have
Shogo. Correct. And tomorrow on Intentional Talk, you'll have Sho Teeth.
Yeah, they talk about that quite a bit.
Yeah.
Show hair. They talk about that. I can't. So here it is, 2 strikes. Typically, this is where he goes with that pitch. See if Posey and him are on the same page.
Oh boy, Nakata was on that fastball.
Yeah, I'm surprised too, because fastball right down the middle is not really where he wanted it.
Just a tick late. Crowd making as much noise as it has all night long. 0-2 the count to Sho Nakata. Little pop. Kinsler read it well off the bat to retire the side. A runner left stranded. A couple of the pitching stars in Team Japan's 2 World Baseball Classic titles in 09 and in 06. Aki Otsuka and Yu Darvish. And speaking of pitching, after a tremendous start by Tomoyuki Sugano, he is removed in favor of the left-hander Kodai Senga. The right-hander, rather, Kodai Senga, who will face Eric Hosmer, the left-handed batter, Andrew McCutchen, and Buster Posey. Kodai Senga, that rare commodity that throws right, bats left. It's a 1-1 count to Hosmer, who has walked tonight.
Fastball is a lot firmer in miles per hour than Sugano. And he can spin a ball too. Last year he won his first 8 starts on a 12-3 campaign.
Nasty. Swing and a miss by Hosmer. 1 gone for Senga. Kodai Senga is something of a secret weapon out of the bullpen for Team Japan. Last year made all of his appearances as a starter, but this is a guy who's got significant relief experience as well, JP.
He does, and Matt, in this game, Senga could actually finish it for Japan. He's been stretched out as a starter. He can start, he can relieve. He may throw the final pitch for Japan tonight.
Boy, if they could get through this with 2 arms, they'd be in pretty good shape. Here's Andrew McCutchen now. He has singled in the only run of the night for Team USA.
Last pitch that struck out Hosmer was a split finger fastball, and you see the numbers for the first 3 years, primarily reliever, only 5 starts.
Slider fouled away, and it's 0-2 now to Andrew McCutchen. Pair of right-handers up behind Senga. A long set and an 0-2 now. Ball and 2 strikes to McCutchen.
Splitter right there did not go down, floated in. When it's good, it goes down. It tumbles straight down.
It seems like every pitcher that comes stateside from Japan is McCutchen's got to hit the deck there. There's a funky pause. There's a hitch. There's something about the rhythm that is something that you just don't see from the American-born arms. And I'm going back to even guys like Shigetoshi Hasegawa. Remember him with the Angels in the late 90s? Right there, that pause. Akinori Otsuka, who we just talked about, had it. He pitched a couple of years with the Padres.
Kim with the Diamondbacks. And it's funny because he ended up being a reliever that wanted to be a starter that threw sidearm with the pause and funky delivery. But I got the wrong country.
Well, but the point is well taken that a lot of the imports have that funky hitch, that pause. And McCutchen swings and misses. Back-to-back strikeouts for Senga.
Well, StatCast powered by Amazon Web Services. We're going to talk about that spin rate. Sugano had all of it working tonight. He changed angles. He created nothing for them. the USA hitters to get comfortable. And you see the spin rate on the fastball, 25-44. He went up, he went down. All the quadrants he took care of. And there's the high mark, 26-80. Fantastic job against the USA lineup.
Just a little pop-up video action for you. Spin rate, something we're hearing more and more about all the time. And here's Buster Posey now. Posey has singled tonight. By the way, should the U.S. win tonight and advance to the championship game tomorrow against Puerto Rico, Jim Leland is going to stay consistent in his use of his two catchers, and Jonathan Lucroy will catch tomorrow. And Jimmy had to answer a few questions in his pregame press conference about that. And he was pretty quick to say in his own defense, look, if anybody thinks we're not trying to win by catching Jonathan Lucroy, then they don't know how good Jonathan Lucroy is. I mean, I get it. Buster Posey is the three-time World Series champ, the former MVP and Rookie of the Year. But Lucroy's here because he is a really good major league catcher, and the U.S. doesn't feel like they give up anything with Lucroy behind the plate instead of Posey. He just doesn't have the hardware that Buster does. Posey could possibly be used as a DH tomorrow. That's an option. But Jonathan Lucroy will catch. And by the way, Marcus Stroman will pitch. He'll stay on his regular day tomorrow, and this is all assuming the U.S. can beat Japan today, and that's far from a certainty in a 1-1 game.
Well, they're facing somebody pretty nasty, and if he's got multiple innings in him, they've got their work cut out for him. 3 way above average pitches for Senga.
Two-two. His 14th strikeout of the tournament to lead all pitchers. Posey's rung up as Senga strikes out the side in order. 10 combined all-star appearances between Hosmer, McCutchen, and Posey. Senga strikes out the side. Baseball Classic telecast on MLB Network presented by Geico. Back with John Smoltz and JP Morosi. A 1-1 tie as we complete the 7th inning stretch tonight. The winner moves on and plays in tomorrow night's championship game against Puerto Rico. The last of the 2 semifinals in LA. The rain intensifying a little bit as the U.S. goes to the bullpen once again. The 3rd reliever used by Jim Leland is the right-hander Sam Dyson.
All right. Dyson's been outstanding, commanding that sinker. As you see, easy motion, 94. Now the stress goes a little bit on the U.S. right here as you see this pitch. Again, that discipline, and fundamentally, Japan can make you pay with all their ability to do the little things. And in a 1-1 game here in the bottom of the 7th, that could come into play. So
Hayato Sakamoto has a single on his line tonight. Sakamoto, Matsuda, and Akiyama, the 6, 7, 8 batters for Japan. Posey sets up way outside the 0-2 pitch, and it's a ball and 2 strikes.
Dyson just looks like he's having fun, little playing catch with the catcher. Not much wasted motion. The nasty 2-seam sinker at 94.
On the ground for Crawford. A 2-time Gold Glover retires Sakamoto, his opposite number, and there's 1 away.
Third baseman, Nobuhiro Matsuda.
As you know, Japan is the home team in this one. One of those important details as you work toward the 9th inning. We saw the extra innings rules apply last night. We got to the 11th inning, tied at 3 between the Netherlands and Puerto Rico. The 11th inning began with runners at first and second. The Netherlands could not execute. Puerto Rico did. And they're in the finals tomorrow as Matsuda swings and misses.
Yeah, a lot of people not used to those kind of tournament rules. A lot of conversation on whether people like that or not, how it should go down. But in a tournament with the amount of days that you play, I think it's great for the tournament because you just don't have the access to the length of pitchers you need.
Ball and a strike to count to Nobuhiro Matsuda. You might remember Matsuda's name. It was kicked around in the big leagues in the hot stove discussions a couple of winters ago when it looked like he might be headed to the States. He reached his international free agency in November of 2015, and there were reports of discussions with Matsuda's camp in the San Diego Padres. He would have come along with no posting fee because he had completed the service time required to reach international free agency. The talks broke down because he wanted to stay at one position. San Diego wanted to use him all over the place. He said he doesn't want to come here to be a utility man. And he's retired for out number 2. He was coming off a big year, had hit 35 home runs, and decided to stay in Japan. Two gone for Dyson. Base is empty, and that'll bring up Shogo Akiyama, the center fielder.
Kind of what we expected, Matt, because of the weather and just the way these two teams are built, the unfamiliarity of each other. Pitching has dominated.
Yeah, I think you'd probably agree. This has been the one game, and you and I have been following this tournament since the first round in Miami. This is the game that, for me, has most represented the product that we watch in Major League Baseball.
Yes. And the custom for the Japanese team as far as how they go about success and excitement and emotions. They're only going to do what seems acceptable by the other team. They're not going to be out in front jumping around doing everything. But if they see the other team do it, then they think that's okay out of respect. They respect the game in different ways. And therefore, you've seen a more prototypical style.
Bouncer to second for Kinsler, who gathers it in and throws out Akiyama. It's 1-2-3-7 for Sam Dyson. Elimination night in Los Angeles. Top half of the 8th inning. Giancarlo Stanton leads things off in the 8th. And Stanton's followed by Crawford and Kinsler here. So worried about mispronouncing the names of the Japanese guys that I box a multiple all-star home run leader.
You're doing so good.
Stanton's 0 for 2 so far tonight. And a swing and a miss. It's 1-1 from Kodai Senga. Strike.
Stanton, such a big imposing figure, stands away from the plate, sometimes opens up that front shoulder to look to pull. That pitch right there is tough on him.
Four hitters, 4 strikeouts for Senga.
Shortstop, number 26.
Watch the front side of Stanton. This is a split finger, but watch it open up. See how quickly it opens up, trying to get to that ball with the movement and the split finger grip. Ball just tumbles, and it's not recognizable as quickly as you would think. That's why it's such a weapon off the fastball.
Real tip of the cap to Japanese pitching. Senga's been amazing with 15 strikeouts, and the U.S. lineup has struck out 10 times tonight. That's their highest strikeout total in any single game of the tournament, and we're only in the 8th.
For the most part, this offense has shown late heroics. It hasn't been one consistent guy. It's been 3 different guys coming up with big hits when they needed it. Being the visitor right now, I would imagine the stress level goes up.
Kobayashi sets up right down the middle, and Crawford whacks that ball into right. A base hit, go-ahead runs aboard with 1 gone. Now that was a fastball that just stayed straight and knee-high, and Brandon was there to do something with it.
He just keeps getting better and better as the years progress. As an offensive player, we know what he is as a defensive player and shortstop. Man, offensively, he's taken it to another level each year. What a swing that was on a good fastball, as you mentioned, straight. That ball had such topspin.
Ian Kinsler next. So we've seen Senga now since the 7th. 4 strikeouts and a single. And what I have not seen, and I could certainly have missed one, you pay better attention to this and know more about this than I. We were told that he features a forkball. I haven't seen anything that looks like that. Did you see something that looked like a split?
Yes, the pitch to Stanton. He's thrown a lot of 2 strikes. He hasn't gone to too many before 2 strikes. That pitch has dove out of the zone.
0-2.
Watching him warm up when he first came into the game, and a lot of pitches were in the dirt. We can't tell, at least I could not tell from, they don't have it on our monitor. Trying to get that pitch down in the zone definitely is forkball. Splitter is a pitch that you don't spread your fingers quite as much. A forkball, you dig the ball deep into your 2 fingers near the knuckles.
Kinsler into the left center field. And it's off the wall. Crawford held it third. Ian Kinsler just missed it.
This ball, a hanging slider, and he hits the gap. And that ball's no doubt going to be a hit. It's whether it stays in the park or not, and it does off the wall, and the relay is executed perfectly. But watch Crawford as he gets to second base. Almost a little messed up. See the little stutter step right there, trying to get his feet ready. Just a little out of sync. Don't think that would have been the difference between him scoring or not.
Yeah, I don't either. I agree with you.
But nonetheless, second and third. And the stress is now put on. Japanese team with the infield playing in against the dangerous Adam Jones.
Jones has been such a clutch primetime performer for the U.S. in this tournament. An opportunity for him to be the hero again. Japan brings the infield in second and third with 1 gone. Shattered bat. Matsuda has trouble with it. The run scores.
Well, they had the contact play on, which means as soon as the ball is put in play, the runner's going. They're not going to wait for it to go through. And this in-between hop and the wet field, see how it just handcuffs them, and that's all it took. A great read by Crawford You get your secondary lead from third base, anticipating contact, and that little bobble right there from an awfully good infield and defensive team has given the USA the lead.
A run in, 2-out runner at third now, and Christian Yelich the batter. We went on the air tonight extolling the virtues of Japan's defense, and for good reason. Kikuchi is a 4-time Golden Glover at second base. His error led to a run in the fourth. Matsuda might even be a better defender. 5-time Golden Glover. He's made some brilliant plays tonight. But on that chance, he bobbled. And as John documents, it leads to the run.
So here's the break. You got to read this as a runner at third, and I thought Crawford from my live view was outstanding. There's the lead, and he takes off immediately. Now, obviously, if they come up with that, he's probably out at home, but the contact play for that reason is to put stress with the infield in so that it has to be a perfect play. It wasn't hit super hard, but that little in-between hop and a wet grass.
Mark Melancon preparing to make his Team USA debut, activated for the semifinal from the designated pitchers pool. And it's 3 balls and a strike now on Yelich. You like the vibe in the stands here?
Yeah, I tell you, I do. And I love the decision that they made for the USA team with the infield in and the conditions they are. Run the risk and put that play on, and it worked. See, the difference between the two is your third base coach is going to tell the base runner at third it must go through for you to take off, or it's the contact play, and the contact play is what we just saw. The runner on second knows he's coming straight to third because the runner on third is breaking home, and you put pressure on the defense.
Full count, 3 balls and 2 strikes to Christian Yelich. A swing and a miss. The damage done, however. A single, a double, and a bobble at third base. Enough to give Team USA a 1-run lead headed to the last of the 8th. Served all day, every day. The U.S. with a 1-run lead. So a couple of changes to post for you here in the last of the 8th inning, the first of which the new pitcher we mentioned, Mark Melancon, was activated off the designated pitchers pool. The newest San Francisco Giant makes his WBC debut this year tonight. Base hit greets him into the opposite field. The pinch hitter Seiichi Uchikawa with a base hit off the bench.
Pretty good hitting against a guy who throws a lot of cutters. Knuckle curveball. As far as closers go, under the radar dominant is Melancon.
Through the game is pinch runner number 2.
We'll have a pinch runner now for the pinch hitter. Kosuke Tanaka will run.
Designated hitter number 23, Tetsuto Yamada.
Back to the top of the order, and Tetsuto Yamada.
Pinch runner's getting a huge lead. I don't know if it's in anticipation, a one-way lead, meaning he's looking for a throw back, but a big lead. And you saw the square around playing for the bunt will be the USA defense.
Bunts down. And Melancon has just one play. Tying runs in scoring position now with one guy. There's not a team in the tournament that plays small ball better than Japan.
They just execute this as well as anybody. They said that 1 through 9, every single guy can bunt because it's practice. Close your ears, Brian Kenny. The bunt in the WBC.
Well, here's the guy who solo home run tied it in the last of the 6th. Ryosuke Kikuchi has homered, sacrificed, and grounded to third. He's also committed an error tonight, one that led directly to the U.S. scoring its first run. First pitch from Melancon's in for a strike.
That cutter went the wrong way. He got away with it. It's not supposed to be in that area unless he front doors that cutter.
Melancon and Posey, who will work together frequently in San Francisco this year, take a moment to get on the same page. Foul ball up the line at third.
Yeah, you kind of forget with all this going on in the WBC and with Melancon just joining the team. That was a huge addition to the San Francisco Giants.
Huge addition to Team USA as well. I mean, Jim Leyland was thrilled today when we spoke to him about having Melancon available. Signed a big 4-year deal to come to San Francisco after some great years in Pittsburgh, spending 2016 in Washington. Three-time All-Stars 0-2 pitches, swung out and missed.
See where they wanted it? That's the front door one. Even though he got it up, that pitch is meant to throw in. Think it's a ball, but he just gets it high enough and swings underneath it.
Norichika Aoki now 1 for 6 in his career against Mark Melancon. Former San Francisco Giant facing the current Giant closer.
He's all over the plate, so it seemed closer than it actually was.
No strikes to count to Aoki.
He's got a high cutter working tonight, trying to get that ball down in on the inner part of the plate.
Tsutsugo next, the biggest power threat in the lineup, waiting on deck with a man on and 2 away. Melanson doesn't want to let him have a chance. Oh, he just missed the inside corner that time.
That's where he wanted the first 2. This is a really good pitch. You see the plates covered up because of the rain. Hard to see home plate.
Tying run off second, and there's ball 4 to Aoki. Well, now you're in some really dangerous territory here with Tsutsugo. The biggest power threat in the lineup, their best run producer, led the Central League last year in home runs and runs batted in. And here comes Jim Leyland. He's got Pat Neshek hot. And the skipper's going to make a change. The funky veteran Pat Neshek will try to get the tough left-hander Yoshitomo Tsutsugo with the tying and go-ahead runs aboard. We'll be right back. Yoshitomo Tsutsugo has had a huge tournament. March 7th, the big 2-run home run against Cuba. The next night, March 8th, 2-run home run against Australia. And then March 15th in the second round, a solo shot against Israel. He's homered 3 times in the tournament. Last year's RBI and home run leader in the Japanese Professional League's Central. Has 2 runners aboard here with 2 out. And he'll face the right-hander Pat Neshek. Neshek starts him with a change of pace that swung on and missed. Took a lot off of that 70-mile-an-hour pitch.
Neshek more like the pitchers over there than the pitchers over here. Unorthodox kind of delivery and abbreviated kind of motion.
Neshek now making his 4th appearance of the tournament. Been very reliable for Jim Leyland. He's inherited 4 base runners, stranding all 4, and trying to add 2 more to that total here in a 1-run game. It's 1-2.
That's a fired up 90-mile-an-hour fastball at your knees by Pat Neshek.
Tying run at second. Go ahead run at first.
Watch his reaction if he's able to get him out right here.
Tsutsugo swings and sends a drive to right. Handled by McCutchen to retire the side. Of the 33,000 plus wearing red, white, and blue, their hearts went pitter-pat. But that ball landed in a glove. And the U.S. is 3 outs away from landing a date in the finals tomorrow with Puerto Rico. We are in the late stages of our second of 2 semifinals at Dodger Stadium. Last night, Puerto Rico defeated the Netherlands. They have a date in the finals tomorrow. And the winner in this one will meet them tomorrow at 9 Eastern, 6 Pacific to determine a World Baseball Classic champion. Nolan Arenado leads things off in the top of the 9th inning. Some changes defensively. Ginjiro Tsumitani takes over behind the plate. And a new pitcher as well, as Yoshihisa Hirano takes over on the mound. Arenado, Hosmer, and McCutchen for Team USA. 33-year-old right-hander Hirano on the mound, pitching in the World Baseball Classic for the first time in his career. A closer in his day job. He finishes off Arenado on 3 pitches. Wow. 31 saves last year as an Oryx Buffalo.
That is 4 strikeouts for Nolan Arenado. Tonight, I didn't need tonight to know why you do the voice for MLB The Show. You know, the game, the video game.
Okay, yeah.
But if there was any doubt, tonight's cinched.
I don't know. I feel like I'm a few stones shy of a Rosetta Stone collection. A pitching change, and we'll be right back. Miyanishi takes over here with 1 out and the base is empty.
This guy's really tough on left-handers. You're going to see why. Sidearm delivery, 88-mile-an-hour fastball with movement, but the slider, that's what makes it tough. The angle which he throws.
Eric Hosmer with the bases empty. Boy. Another guy with a pause. Hosmer hitless tonight, 0 for 2 with a walk. 31-year-old southpaw set on an 0-1 count. Hosmer into left center field. The ball well hit. And into the gap. Eric Hosmer with a double here with 1 out in the 9th.
Hosmer is locked in. I'm telling you. He's had some great at-bats. Not always getting a hit, but some clutch hits. And he stays on this slider about as well as you can imagine. Even the hips open up, but the hands stay back. That's just perfect. Try to pull that ball, and he does not have success.
The veteran pitching coach Hiroshi Gondo comes to make another change as Miyanishi's gone after a batter. Big insurance run at second with 1 away. Another change, and we'll be right back. Yoshi to face Andrew McCutchen in a situation very similar to the one that McCutchen came through in Saturday night against the Dominican Republic. A late extra base hit to ensure a 1-run lead.
You see the delivery there. Not a true sidearm because he does come back up with that arm angle, but a lower arm angle nonetheless.
McCutchen has an RBI tonight. His RBI single with 2 out in the 4th made it 1-0 U.S. Let's take you back to Saturday night. The Dominicans had made it a not so comfortable 4-3 ball game, and Andrew McCutchen made it a 6-3 advantage with this 2-run double in the 8th. He got to Alex Colomé, who had been so tough in the tournament, and the U.S. was finally able to get past the Dominicans and into the semifinals tonight. Oh, 2 to the 5-time All-Star. Ryo Akiyoshi, by the way, has led the Central League in appearances the last 2 years. 27-year-old Yakult Swallow. 144 outings in the last 2 seasons.
It's impressive because they play less games than the MLB schedule.
A ball and 2 strikes that count to Andrew McCutchen. Swinging a high fly ball into shallow left. Sakamoto's out from shortstop for route number 2.
That's your number 28.
Change speeds on him right there, even though the ball was up. Hudson just missed it. Change up looking, and that ball top of the bat.
So now Buster Posey with 2 out, and that big insurance strike still in scoring position. When we go to the bottom of the 9th inning, Japan has their 5, 6, 7 batters. Nakata, Sakamoto, and Matsuda. And there is power there in that part of the lineup. Luke Gregerson's been up in the U.S. bullpen. Jim Leyland told us before the game tonight that even with Mark Melancon on the roster here, Gregerson would be the guy with a save opportunity. He'd be the man to close in the ninth. Takayoshi in front of Posey 0-1. Buster's 1 for 3 tonight. Popped him up. Kikuchi and Nakata are there, and it's shown Nakata to make the catch. And Japan has 3 outs left in their tournament lives to the bottom of the ninth. With a surprise Matt Vasgersian and John Smoltz because we're locked into the proceedings on the field. It's been a lot of fun to watch tonight. Low scoring, terrific pitching. The defense, so good on paper, has had its moments tonight. That's been a major part of the storyline, and Luke Gregerson is on to try to hammer down the save and deliver the U.S. into the finals in this event for the first time ever.
Yeah, Gregerson will going to rely on that sinker slider combination, and to the point you made, I think the weather and the conditions had a little bit more to do with the lack of execution defensively.
Sho Nakata 0 for 3 so far tonight. He's out in front 1-1. Luke Gregerson, by the way, has been terrific in this tournament. The guy with the best swing and miss rate in the American League last year has made 3 outings in the World Baseball Classic. The only little mini blemish was a walk against Venezuela. That's it. Comebacker. And the U.S. is 2 outs away from moving on.
Stop number 6. Ayato Sakamoto.
A game filled with power arms and 98-mile-an-hour fastballs. It's Luke Gregerson and his deception and movement that creates weak contact. And that is an important part of his success rate.
First pitch to Sakamoto, grounded to Crawford, and the U.S. is 1 out away from moving into the finals for the first time ever. $33,000 plus at Dodger Stadium tonight. Gregerson saved the emotional win Saturday against the Dominicans. Tonight's has been charged with a different kind of emotion. Tension, probably the better word in a 1-run game. Here's Matsuda now. For Japan tonight. Undefeated Japan down to their final strike. As far as the U.S. had ever come in this tournament, 2009, they lost in the semis to Japan right here. Tonight it's the United States moving on to the finals. Team USA going farther than they ever have in World Baseball Classic history. Jim Leyland smiling for the first time in 2 weeks, and the Americans have a date tomorrow with Puerto Rico.
USA has been coming up big late. They haven't exactly steamrolled through this tournament, but they've done whatever they've needed to do with clutch hits, clutch catches, and now a clutch pitching performance by the whole team. The final out on a breaking ball out of the zone. Not much stress in the ninth. I'm sure that helped Jim Leyland get through the ninth, and the reaction, business as usual.
I think the reaction will be a little bit more punctuated tomorrow if in fact the U.S. can come up with one more win, and we are all set for a terrific showdown tomorrow night. A rematch between the U.S. and Puerto Rico to decide a champion.